Your attention, please. Attention, please. Attention, please.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Dan Bennett podcast, episode 6. Thank you, everyone. I'm sitting with James Wells.
What's going on, people?
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming on the show, mate. I'm honestly, we've been trying to do this now probably 4 times, and each time we keep hitting like a technical glitch.
It's our second time in the studio today, so hopefully this is gonna it's gonna go smoothly.
The woman at the front thinks we're like making some unreal mixtape, so yeah.
Fresh 64 bars.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, thanks so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I think when I thought about building this podcast, I wanted to kind of interview people who, and I say this term, design the life they want.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically was thinking all the people I could interview and kind of talk about how, you know, they've designed the life they want, and they've, you know, they do things out of the norm, and ultimately have kind of defined their own version of success. And I kind of thought of you for that. I was like, you know what, this guy was probably one of the first entrepreneurs I ever really knew when I was growing up. He was doing everything. He was selling everything, doing his own clothing range.
It started importing stuff from China literally at the age of like 12, 13. And looking back at it, I had no idea what I was doing. But, you know, you got to take risks, don't you?
I love it. And that's kind of why I wanted to interview, because I feel like entrepreneurship now is such a buzzword. Like everyone says, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. But honestly, when I think about you, really, like probably from the ages of 12, 13, 14, you were kind of grinding, selling everything. I think when kids were selling sweets in the playground, like you said, you were importing things from China. So
headphones. I was selling headphones, which, I mean, now you look back, the authenticity, you know. But when I was that young, I just assumed that, you know, that's wholesalers. So I was like, well, where the store's getting them from? It's got to be here. So I was still paying a lot for things I was selling. You know, I was buying things for £60, I was selling it for 150, nice margins. But I was just, where I'd see people spend, you know, £1 to make 3, I was like, I want bigger margins, like straight from the get-go at 13. I was like, I want bigger chunks with each transaction, because why limit myself and why sell something that everyone else was selling?
100%. Why go into a saturated market?
Yeah.
You know, I get it, man. I get it. So let's start from the start then. So when I met you, just for the listeners, we met at an athletics club. We were running together.
Usain Bolt and got shit on me.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I was so overweight as a kid. Like, I was slugging. I was trying to run, and I was trying to catch up with James. But then you and I met from there, and then from there, I think we went out for a bunch of nights out. And I kind of was watching you do Free Will Apparel at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then from there, I think that's when you and I kind of went to our separate directions. I think I went to America then for a few years, and then from there, you've kind of been designing one business after another, and that's kind of led you where you are today, doing Tomorrow's Talk, right? Which is your digital marketing agency.
Yeah, social media marketing agency.
Which is unreal. Which I think is really interesting, because I think when I look at you and kind of what the brand you've built for yourself, it's really, really impressive. And it's kind of a testament to the hard work you've put in, that now you've built like a full-on audience for yourself. You've got now 30,000.
Yeah, just over 30K followers, yeah.
Which is insane. So honestly, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, really, is kind of like how you've built your brand, you know, your thoughts on that, and kind of go from there, really. So here's a question then. So when people say, what is an entrepreneur? What is an entrepreneur to you?
See, that question, I think the answer needs to be different for every single person, because an entrepreneur, what makes someone successful, an entrepreneur, it shouldn't be determined on a monetary value, which I think so many people, especially in today's society, that's what they do. An entrepreneur is about success. Like, if you are effectively feeding yourself, living the life that you want based off something that you are doing, you are a successful entrepreneur. Right. It doesn't mean you have to be rolling around in a Ferrari. You don't have to be flexing like the good whips, because the key to life is happiness. So if you are living a successful and a happy life, doing something off your own back, you are a successful entrepreneur. There's no reason that you have to earn X amount of revenue. Like, it's the happiness. You've got rich people that are fucking miserable, you know. So the goal is happiness, and things like money, even things like social media, they're a tool to get there. But that's how they should be perceived. They should be perceived as a tool and not a reality, and no emotion should be held onto them. And as soon as you realize that they're simply a tool and a part of the process and a cog, then you'll be able to systematically build yourself a lot quicker.
So I've got a question then. So for someone who is trying to build a social media following, for someone who is trying to build a brand, and they look at you who's got 30,000 followers, and they're like, oh my God, James must be really, really happy. But you don't define that as your happiness, do you? I mean, you hold the two kind of separate, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no. it sounds so hypocritical, but followers, they don't really mean shit. Like, what you gotta think at the end of the day is, you know, I teach people how to grow their Instagram accounts. But even when I do that, I have modules on, you know, like effectively covering like mental health, how it should be perceived. Because if Instagram was to be taken away, like, what's your value? I think the thing that people need to ask themselves is, if I say to you right now, who is Dan Bennett? Most people don't even ever ask themselves that question.
No, I agree.
And what you need to do is, like, ask yourself. So I'll be like, who is Jay? Who is Jay Wells? And then for me, it was like, who I am. I'm obsessed with ancient history. I want to see the world. I want to experience different cultures. Like, to me, that's what will make me rich in experiences. So Jay Wells, realistically, is someone that wants to go to these ancient sites. I want to discover ancient temples. So that is what's going to bring my soul fulfillment. Now, you might be thinking, well, a social media marketing agency is not really along the right lines. However, it's something that I do, that I provide a great service for people. I get exceptional results. I love being part of their journey and bringing their happiness and their goals and their desires to like a reality. And it's something for me to be able to do those things of who I am. I'm going to need a shitload of money. I ain't got no degree. I ain't got no degree in history. So I'm going to have to buy my way onto that, which is why I don't hold the emotional attachment to money. Money's just going to get me what I want to get it. And I think if you want money, you can go and make money. If you want it that much, you will make it happen. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making it happen, but I'm doing it in a way that I still enjoy, because if you don't have an enjoyment in the process, you're only going to set yourself up to fail from the start.
That's actually a really great point. I said this on a previous podcast talking about identity, and if you always marry an identity, that identity can always be taken away from you. And it was similar to me with my footballing career, and I sound like I miss her. I really miss her. No, but talking about my football career, I was like, you know, when I stopped playing football,
You might want to slither this way a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
That's that.
Yeah.
We're just working it out, guys,
Yeah.
with an angle.
And talking about when I stopped playing football, I had married the identity of a footballer, and then when I finished playing, I kind of had that whole, oh my god, what am I doing in my life? And it's the same thing with you. If you said, if you based your whole identity of, I own, or I've got 30,000 Instagram followers, well then, if Instagram left tomorrow, then you're going to be wandering around going, oh my god, who am I? What's my purpose? What's gonna give me fulfillment? So it's very, very smart, and it's kind of why I wanted to bring you on, because I think we see things in a very, very similar way.
What's crazy about this, though, just to quickly touch on it, is if you actually look at a graph of depression, and you look at a graph of depression based on the age. So I looked at one, and it was to do with men, and effectively our happiness like goes up in sort of your late 20s, but that's typically when most people start a family, and you know, like, children can bring them a lot of fulfillment. So even if they're unsatisfied in their job, etc., they get fulfillment for their family. And then it just starts plateauing, and it starts plateauing at an age where the families grow up, they start leaving the house, they start to realize, you know, their life's gone by, and they start to analyze it, and then it literally plummets. And when I say plummet, I mean, it means like a high rate of high rate of depression. And then it sort of like stays low, and then it starts skyrocketing about in the 70s. And the reason for that is because they hit that low, they then have to identify, and they're like, okay, like, what is my life? And most people identify with their purpose in life really, really late. And it's still better to identify your purpose in life later than as opposed to never.
Yeah.
But why wait that long? Why not give yourself a kickstart and start being true and honest with yourself now? Like, what is it that you want? That you don't have to fulfill social norms. I like, fuck social norms. I see myself as a little bit of an outcast, as much of an extrovert as I am. I am an outcast, but if you look at those that are outcasts, they're just people that are perceived not to be doing the norm. But if you look at the people that are doing the norm, they're not the people that are achieving what you would say as the great achievements.
No, I agree. And it's one of those things as well, you have to question where you've got your values from. Like, if your values are, all right, well, I want a mortgage by 25, I want to be married with a dog and everything. Well, you have to question where you've actually got that from. Do you actually want that for yourself, or is that a value that you've kind of received from your family or from your friends or your social circles? Because I look at a lot of people now who are kind of doing that, and I just know for a fact that they're not happy. I know that happened. I think if you were actually kind of to follow what you actually wanted to do, you'd probably be doing something much far different, but they're probably too afraid, or, you know, too worried to step out of the, you know, the social norms like you just said. So and that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on here, because it's very, very important, I think, that you hear the stories of those people who are going out and doing something that they want to do, and, you know, following their own dream, their own passions, I think. Because I think it's really rare.
Yeah.
And it's really, really rare. So let's go on then. So
I was going to say, not to throw shade, but, you know, these, a lot of people that have gone and bought these houses and they've gone into jobs and they've got security. I don't know the best way to touch upon this, but unfortunately in society, a lot of people cheat. A lot of people cheat, and you've got people that have settled into these lives and they're cheating on their partners, and some people almost like they're with their partners because this is males and females, and I know it through people that have slept with people that have got partners and everything like that. Like a lot of people cheat, and realistically, people have settled down in things because they see it as the easy option, or they see it as the safest option. But even then, like people don't understand the amount of the butterfly effect that you can get from hurting someone. So it's you've got to be brave enough to like break yourself out of that situation. To me, like I don't condone cheating. Like if you're cheating, it's not for you. But even then, it's just like a tiny social pressure that will hold people into what deep down they know to be an unhealthy relationship.
And I wonder if people cheat to give them that level of excitement that they don't actually get in their life. I wonder if they've kind of built and designed a life for themselves where they're not actually happy or fulfilled, and they're like, well, I need to go cheat to kind of spice up my life and act like I'm living on the edge a little bit.
You'll get an endorphin hit. It's the exact same with porn. Like when people watch porn, people that watch porn all the time, like I ain't gonna lie, I don't watch it. I don't watch it no more because it was affecting me. And when people watch porn all the time, they start watching more, let's just call it outrageous pornography.
A bit aggressive stuff,
it gets there because their dopamine levels get used to it, and they need something more, they need something more, they need something more. And it's like when people do drugs, that's why they do it, and they're constantly hitting it because they need more, they need more, they need more. And if you're not getting any fulfillment in your life and you're not bringing your sole purpose, you're going to look for things that can bring you small dopamine hits, and you'll act in that situation as opposed to necessarily analyzing your behaviors and the ripple effect that they're going to have, which can cause people to do things like that. But it's a habit or a behavior that you want to have control over in regards to all areas of your life. It's just people will start acting out in it in specific areas of their life, which can have a detrimental effect if you're not true to yourself.
I get it. I completely get it. So asking you then, what gives you your dopamine hits then? If you look at your life and you're saying you've built this business, you've built the life where you're able to go to spend multiple time in different countries and you're able to work from a remote business. What is it that gives you the dopamine hits, that gives you the enjoyment that you get from your day-to-day life?
I get dopamine hits off surrounding myself. It sounds very much on paper, but surrounding myself with like-minded individuals that 100% get... Seeing the people around me succeed brings me so much fulfillment, and being part of their journey, even if it's just like little bits of advice. And then I get dopamine off seeing growth in my business. Like, and that's what it's been for years. And that's why I have very much been on paper what you'd call a workaholic, but I don't see it as a workaholic because if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not work. It's a lifestyle. Like you are just doing those tasks. Like, at the end of the day, if you do something because you want to do it, why is that got to have a stigma to it? Why is that got to have a name? Why is it got to have a label?
Do you ever worry though, and trust me, I've been there myself, where I get into that, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and then you work. Do you ever worry that can get out of control though, where you're kind of sacrificing the close relationships around you, or your friends, or your family, and you're spending so much time engulfed in your work that you don't get to cherish the people and the moments and stuff like that?
I think those who are truly going to be part of your journey, they don't need all that attention. I believe in the depth of a relationship as opposed to the width. So it's the intensity and it's the purity of a relationship. So, I've got friends where I might not speak to them or see them for months, but I know that I can speak to them about anything. And I think you can have groups of friends that bring you different things, and it's okay to be selfish to have literally like different groups to bring you certain things that you need in your life at that time. But no, I don't feel guilty about it all. Like I say, I see people less, but then I spend time with certain people more now. And I do believe you got to be cutthroat in regards to those who you cut out of your life. And some people, they find it really hard to comprehend that you could cut someone out of your life that has been part of it for years. But deep down, if they're not part of your journey, you know that they're not bringing you anything. Why wouldn't you? Why would you spend time and attention on something that you know is not going to bring you any form of growth?
No, I 100% agree with that. And I think actually manipulating your environment and the people around you is extremely important, because like there's that old saying in it that you're the average of the 5 people around you.
Yeah.
So therefore you've got to surround yourself with people on a similar mission to you, mindset than you, values than you, morals than you, all that. If you don't have that around you and you have toxicity around you, then ultimately you're just going to be a product of that. So I completely get it. Definitely get it. So here's a question then. So do you think this is innate that you see the world this way? You called yourself a bit of an outcast earlier. and you think that you see the world a little bit different, which is funny because I think you and I see it very similar.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm an outcast as well. But do you think this is something that you've been taught, something you've self-taught, or do you think it's completely innate that you want to be on a very different journey to your peers around you?
It's an argument of nature versus nurture, and I think both parts come into play. Like both parts come into play. You know, I've got both my brothers, they're in engineering roles, and that's what I trained in. I'm a qualified engineer, so I went down that route as well. But you know, my older brother, he doesn't have any interest in being an entrepreneur, and that's okay. My little brother, he doesn't have any interest in being an entrepreneur. That's okay. And I think it's definitely self-taught. I knew from a teenager that I wanted to run my own business, and you know, that's what I've always started, and that's what I've always pushed. And you know, we touched upon a little conversation earlier. When I was in school, I won an award for the most likely to become a millionaire, which most people see as trivial, but to me, like that shows that
I'd have that award over everyone.
yeah, like that shows that people had faith in me from that age. And this is when people were going after jobs that was going to pay them racks, and I won that. So to me, that was a testament of my character to other people. So I think it's a part of nature and nurture. Like we are affected by certain things around us. But at the end of the day, I also think, unfortunately, not everybody has it necessarily within themselves to be successful. The world cannot function in a place where everyone would be 100% successful. Unfortunately, we can't work in a society where everyone is even, and that's very hard. And some people will throw shade at people for saying that. But if you look at any society that has tried to work a system where every single person is the same, it's never worked. And I don't have the answer for that. I don't have the answer for how society can work, but it's at a point where it's like you choose what path you want to go down. You choose what level of it that you want to be.
No, I completely agree. And to that point there, I'm a very strong believer, and people, like you said, people may throw shade at that, but I'm a very strong believer that you kind of work, you get for what you work for. So therefore, if I'm going to work my bollocks off and you're going to work hours and 24 hours in your business, then ultimately you deserve what you get from that.
Yeah.
And you deserve the reward, you deserve the success. But ultimately that same person who doesn't work very hard is going to throw shade at you. But I often think, well, if you put the work in and you find your niche and you put your work in, then ultimately you'll have that same reward.
It's because people are afraid to fail. People are afraid to fail. And it's like, if you fail, you should be like, yeah, fucking all right, that was good. Because there's no way that you can grow to any amount of success without having failures. Like you literally learn so much from a failure, and everything in life comes to a decision. It's left or right. It's a yes or a no. So a situation occurs, you make a decision. Not every decision you make is going to be the right decision, but if you make them decisions diligently, you're going to grow at such a more rapid rate than people that spend like 2 weeks making a decision. Make the decision, deal the consequence or the rewards when they're there, and everything you do is move. Like, so for example, this morning, peak for me, my car got smashed into. Someone robbed the whole of the front face of my car. So I went out, window was smashed.
We're back in Birmingham.
the whole thing just got jacked. Someone just jacked the whole front part of the car. And I literally just walked outside, and my brother's girlfriend had said that it got smashed into. And I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, yeah. So I went outside and I was like, fuck's sake. But I didn't deep it, because I was like, okay, my car's been smashed into. I can either hold loads of energy to the point like, what the hell, like it's gonna cost this, or the insurance might do this, or the police might not be able to get him, etc. But that's all might. I looked at that, I thought, okay, all I need to do, contact the police, contact the insurance, and then I move on. And I did not let that mood affect my day at all, because nothing, I tell you, nothing will affect me progressing. Nothing will affect me progressing, and I refuse to let any external factor affect my mood. I am in control of that shit. I did not have a control over someone jacking my car.
Yeah, you can control what you can control.
But I can control how I react to the situation.
I love it. And I texted him this morning saying, dude, oh my God, that's awful news. We can push back, we can reschedule, we can do it another day. He's like, nope, I'll be there, don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it, I'll be there.
I like that. I like that mentality that whatever obstacle will get thrown at your way, you'll just figure out a way to get over it. But dude, that's fucking impressive, man. That's impressive. But yeah, I saw the picture. Literally, his whole front of the car is gone. I was like, Jesus. I don't know how you don't hear that. But the surgeons, man, they get in and get out.
4 minutes, couple things in, and the whole bonnet's gone.
So before you talked about energy, and I think, having had a bunch of conversations with you prior to this, I think you're very, very big on energy, the people you have around you, but also spirituality and law of attraction, visualization. You were saying earlier you're doing something with frequency.
Like frequency nap.
Yeah, frequency nap. And I find that so interesting because I'm a massive believer in law of attraction, visualization, but I feel like you take it one step further where you have a whole nother level of understanding of it than I do. So feel free to jump in. Like, what are some core beliefs that you have in terms of that kind of stuff?
Well, it's also why I say you should cut people off that you don't believe are good for you, because the universe is, you know, it's built up of frequencies. Humans are effectively a giant antennae. I can't remember the name of the photography, but there was a photographer, and he photographed the human body, and you can see effectively like a force field of energy that we're constantly emitting. The heart has it has almost like a bubble of energy that reaches just beneath 2 meters, which makes you question a certain few things that are going on right now as to 2 meters. But the heart's frequency field is around like 2 meters from the human body. So we constantly absorb and we emit frequencies dependent on our emotion. Now, if you go into a room and you're like, I could cut the tension with a knife, it's because the frequency in that room is physiologically different. So I've been away. I've been working in Marbella and Gibraltar. I come back and I felt a shift in energy as soon as I got back to Birmingham, and that wasn't like a physical energy. I could just feel like a shift in like spiritual energy. And the day that I woke up, because I got back on the night, the day after that I woke up, I was completely fucked. Like I couldn't focus, I couldn't think, my body was fatigued. And I get these things that they're not headaches, they're aching heads. That's the only way I can describe them. They're aching heads, and it's right in the forefront, right in between my eyebrows, effectively like where where they believe your third eye is. And I get these aching heads, but I didn't get them when I was away, but I always get them when I'm in Birmingham. And it's something that's energy driven. So my body was affected straight away just from the energy within the city, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of bad things that are going on. But I also think that, you know, when you go to certain places, especially that I've been up, because I've been brought up in Birmingham, you know a lot more about things that are going on, and you have like a deeper, in-depth detail. But whereas I took myself out of the situation and I'm working in, you know, another country, I'm creating like my own thing. I just completely isolated what was going on, and I didn't have any effects from what I did as soon as I got back to the city. And I felt that difference. But I think energy for me is because I've had experiences that made me delve into it. So, for example, these frequency naps that I have, you can do research on frequencies from years and years ago, and basically there are frequencies that can heal the human body. And these frequencies, a lot of classical music used to be made in these frequencies, and then it was identified of you know, what can be done. And I believe people that are mad into conspiracies, they might roast me for getting this information incorrect, but I believe it was the Rothschild family put some sort of legislation on music not being able to be produced at that frequency. So I believe it was Mozart. He had to recreate a lot of his songs to a different frequency because of the original.
So what stops me right now going and...
But I don't know, and it's something that I need to do more research on. I'm only just sort of touching the surface. But there was a guy before who made a machine that dealt with cancer via frequencies only, and he cured every single cancer patient that he had using frequencies.
So you think this frequency that the human body emits is essentially like an energy that essentially I'll emit to you my energy.
Yeah. Like I literally am in a space right now where I would be absorbing your energies.
Understand that. I feel like there's definitely something with energy, because I know when I'm around certain people, I'm like, I just hate your energy. I'm like, can you just do, like, I just feel like it's toxic and something like that. Do you think it's similar to that?
It is, like, because you're feeling it. You're literally feeling it. And you know, for me, when I have these frequency naps, you can put on music that has like loads of different effects to your body. And when I was away in Marbella, I experienced like very close to an out-of-body experience. And it was for the first time in my life, and it was really, really eye-opening. And I had the frequency music on. I've had sleep paralysis before. I've never seen the demons that people see. But this time it was, I can hear myself go into this state. So before this sort of like paralysis hits me, I hear vibrations. So I could literally hear it go like, vroom, 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 and then my whole body like jolts into a form of paralysis. Bit weird, but my eyes like try to roll to the back of my head, so it's almost like a fit-like state. But rather than fighting it, I thought, let me relax into it, because your body panics initially when those types of stuff happen. So I let my body relax into it, and what happened was I could feel an entity in my body trying to come out of it, and it sounds bizarre. It sounds completely bizarre, especially if someone's not into it, but that's what it was. I could feel this entity trying to pull itself out of my body, and I could feel, it's weird because when you look at astral projection, effectively what it is an out of body experience, and it's you can go out of your body, and that's what I was experiencing symptoms of, and I had no idea it was called this until I researched it after. But what's weird is a lot of the pictures you see it coming out the upper torso of the body, and mine was trying to come out from the feet first, so I've got to look into detail whether that means something. But I could feel my feet like pulling up like in a form of levitation.
Tell me never to have a sleepover you. I would be terrified. If I thought you'd been like possessed by a demon or something.
But honestly, it was crazy, and I woke up and it was weirdly euphoric. And I spoke to a few people. I spoke to people that have done DMT trips, and they told me like to look into astral projection, because those are what I was experiencing symptoms of. So it can be hard for people to, I suppose, speak about energy, hear people speak about energy if they've not dealt with it themselves. But the way that I see it is, humans, it's so easy for us to refuse that something could be a form of reality. If it shatters our current belief of what reality is, the human brain will immediately just refuse to believe it, because it's easier for us to believe things as we think they are.
Yeah, it's like confirmation bias. You already kind of confirm the things that you believe in, essentially. So I completely understand. So how about like law of attraction, visualization, that kind of stuff? Because I mean, you've got to a point now where your business has grown, your following, your social media, your social, everything has gone in the right direction. There must have been a time in your life where you were sitting at, not 30,000 followers, and you were sitting with no clients. You were probably skint, as we all have in our life. I mean, there must have been those times where you're like, damn, was there ever the time when you were like, I just need to pack this in, get the normal job, go back and do the apprenticeship, and for the engineering thing that you said that you did with your brother? And was there ever that moment where you ever thought, right, this isn't for me, or maybe I should try and look to go down a different path?
Nah. I know that I'm going to be successful. I know I'm going to achieve what I'm going to achieve. I don't even bring it into, thought that I'm not going to. Some people be like, what about a plan B? Fuck a plan B. I'm going to make my plan A work. Why would I even spend any time and attention and manifest the potential of a plan B when I can put all of that into a plan A? And I do manifest, and I'm not going to lie, I've slipped off it a little bit recently, and it's something that I need to make sure that I get back on. But what I would do was what was called 369 manifestation. It comes from Nikola Tesla, who's an OG. If none of you have looked into Nikola Tesla, go have a look at that. But effectively, you do 3 manifestations 6 times a day for 9 seconds each. And on paper, yet again, someone will be like, oh, that's a little bit long. I mean, is it? 3 manifestations 6 times a day for 9 seconds each. It takes up like barely minutes of your day to manifest your reality. And you can literally go on the CIA website, look at declassified documents, which they confirm that manifestation it exists.
Me and my family are big fans of Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
He's like on the
straight G. Bob Proctor's an OG.
Of the visualization, law of attraction space. And I need to look into this Nikola Tesla stuff. 369. I like that. That's something so
he was obsessed with numerology, obsessed with it to a point that he would walk around buildings 3 times before entering.
Really?
He believed that the numbers of the universe are 369.
That's interesting. I mean, going back to kind of manifestation, I had a real probably one of the darkest points of my life last year. And to get me out of that, I just started manifesting. I started journaling. I started writing down my thoughts, what I wanted to achieve, the direction I wanted my life to go in. Because I think oftentimes when you slip out of a guaranteed direction or a path in your life, I think when you slip out of that, sometimes the best thing to do is just write out what you want, what you want to achieve, and just also be extremely grateful for what you've got. I think that's something that I need to consistently remind myself of, is that I am so unbelievably blessed. And I think so oftentimes you can take that for granted. I think if you've got food on your plate, water in your cup, a pillow underneath your head, and a roof over your head, like when times get tough, I think you need to probably like dumb down, like 10x down on the gratitude stuff, and typically eventually you'll get out of that and come out the other side pretty well.
It's like practicing mindfulness. So I think discipline is a huge thing in regards to making something happen, because yet again, say for example, early morning starts, you wake up, your alarm goes off. It's, do I get out of bed? Yes or no. Everything is a yes or no decision. So if you want to get out of bed, you're going to make yourself get out of bed. And I'll go on these walks, and when I'm on these walks in the morning, I practice mindfulness. So I will literally be touching the trees. I just run my fingers in the trees, and I'm like, I'm feeling them, and I consciously am aware that I'm feeling the trees. And that in itself is something that's very, very powerful. And then what I'll do is I'll look at the grass, and I'm like, it's beautiful that the grass can even grow. Like the fact that something can grow, and there's people forget like grass has life, like trees have life. Like we are surrounded by life, we are surrounded by beauty, and because of you know, things that are just pushed in front of us, like, you know, trends, etc., etc. We forget to like strip it back down to the raw basic of which is, you know, we are on a beautiful planet. We are on a very, very beautiful planet. And it's like, if you go away, you have a weekend in nature, you come back and you feel mad refreshed.
100%.
You feel mad refreshed. And you've just like allowed yourself to reground with the earth.
Yeah, some of the most stress points in my life, I've gone away for weekend hikes up into the mountains in the States, and you come out with a different appreciation of nature, and it also makes you realize how small you are. Like if you see some animals, I'm like we saw what did we see? It was really random. We saw, you know, a mink, like the kind of long ferret thing.
Yeah.
And like me and all the guys were from the city, like we never seen mink. Like
We're from the shit.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw something like that. It kind of gave you an appreciation that it's, you know, not everything in the city is real life. You know, there's a whole other world that you don't see that humans used to be in nature and now we're not as much. So it gives you a new appreciation of it, I think.
It's like when I go to sleep, I even leave my window wide open. And I shut it yesterday because it was very stormy. Like it was literally like,
bad rain,
hitting. I could hear the rain coming through the window. But by that, I will sleep with the window open, even when it's the winter. And, you know, family could walk in the room and they'll be like, this is freezing. And I'm like, but I'm so toasty under the quilt. But I don't want to be breathing in recycled oxygen. I want fresh oxygen stimulating its way around that room.
Yeah.
So although it might seem cold, like for me, it's so refreshing just to have fresh oxygen.
Yeah, I feel
it's like
that.
if you feel bad, you feel ill, a saying is go get yourself some fresh air. If you look at a lot of sayings that have like been over the years and they seem to be casual sayings, they have a lot of meaning behind them.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you just analyze deeper into those meanings, they can have a bigger impact on your life.
Exactly. So talking about that then, so I think you were one of the first people I knew that adopted a vegan diet, right? Mm-hmm. And talk to us about that then. So what was some of your key decisions behind that? And I know that, you know, obviously you play high level of rugby, you're into your strength and conditioning, all that kind of stuff. Do you think that, you know, having a vegan diet, that's kind of helped your mental, helped your body and helped your fitness from there?
Yeah, I did a 4-day water diet. So I didn't have anything for 4 days but water. So no squash, no tea, no coffee, no supplements. Did water diet for 4 days straight. It resets your body. And then this is when I ate meat. So then when I finished that diet and I went to eat meat, my body felt hungover.
Really?
Like I felt like I'd gone on like a 4-day bender. Yeah.
Really?
So I was like, okay, my body's telling me it doesn't need something in it. Like it doesn't like something. But I don't think you should do huge jumps in your diet. I think you should always gradually do it.
Yeah, there needs to be a consistency before you get.
So I decided to go pescatarian for a year. Went pescatarian for a year. Felt a huge difference in regards to how I felt, mental clarity, you know, fitness. And then I was like, okay, let's push this a little bit further. So then I went vegetarian. Felt a difference between that jump. And then I was like, you know, typically everyone's thinking, I like cheese, that type of shit. But there's plenty of alternatives out there. So I was like, I'll just make that conscious effort to go vegan. And I felt a difference on my body. I felt a difference in mental clarity. Felt a difference in, you know, not feeling fatigued. It's mad. If I was to go for a buffet on a vegan diet and I was yamming down all this food, you know how you get a food slump and you go tired? Don't get it. I'll be full, but I don't get a food slump.
Really? So you don't think, and you think that's from the lack of meat and dairy that's in the diet?
That's the pattern in what I found with my eating.
That's really interesting. And when you went vegan, did you ever notice any like loss of muscle or anything from the lower intakes of protein from the meat?
Because when your body consumes over X amount of protein, it turns it into carbs anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So half these people when they're yamming down, and I'm not, you know, a fitness guru or nothing like that, but half the time when you're yamming it down, if you're eating over that X amount for your body, it's going to turn it to carbs. Just eat carbs. Carbs ain't bad for you.
That's valid.
Carbs aren't, like, I have a very high carb diet. I ain't fat.
No, you're not.
I ain't fat, like carbs ain't bad, but I think with things like diet, you have to make sure, I think everybody has something different that's going to work for them. And it is about trying out things that work best for people. But as soon as you get your diet on point, and you're training, like exercise doesn't have to be to have a 6-pack. It doesn't have to be to be like ripped. It's just as much for like mental gain. As soon as you find that nice little combination, you're going to be flying. You're going to feel so fucking good in life. You're going to be hop, skipping and jumping down the road.
No, I agree.
And I found that if I'm not on point with diet and exercise, that has a direct correlation on my business's growth.
100%. I 100% get that. 100%. Because I'm in the same way. If I'm not in the right headspace with my exercise, with my nutrition, what I'm writing or what I'm putting out or whatever I'm working, my email, anything I'm working with my clients or anything, it's just not as sharp. It's not as it's not as neat, you know. So I completely understand.
And start getting aggy.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I am. You know what's another thing I've noticed I get aggy about as well is if I'm not sleeping well, if I've not been working out, if I've not, not been doing the right things that I know I need to do, but then that obviously has a knock-on effect to then my work. I'm then aggy that my work's not very good. So then I'm aggy with the people around me, and then it's just a knock-on effect.
How many hours sleep do you get a night?
I aim for 7 to 8. That's what I go for. Yeah, I'm a big sleep guy. I like to go. I'm a bit of I'm an old man. I'm in bed and asleep by typically 10 o'clock. And then
That's good. Good.
Yeah, I'm a big sleep guy. I'm a big sleep guy.
All people do past 10 p.m. is watch films anyway.
I think it's the scrolling. I think I've read this Unreal article once. This guy was saying all you do from the hours of probably 9:30 to 11 or 11:30 is literally scroll on your phone on Instagram. But there's so many flashing images and stuff that your body goes into a fight or flight.
It does.
And it elicits a hormonal response. So then your sleep is knocked back. And although you think, hey, I went to bed at 11 and I woke up at 7, that's 8 hours. Well, actually, you're probably not getting 8 hours. You're probably getting closer to 5.
You're getting broken sleep. It's also... If, say for example, so I go to sleep at 11 o'clock on the night and I get up at 6, so I'm 7 hours. I used to brag about 6 hours and then I was like, what am I bragging about? Like low key, I knew I was tired in it. But in my head, I was like, yeah, I only need 6 hours and waking up and grinding and hustling, that type of shit. And I was like, yo, James, just shut up. And
hustle porn stuff.
I was like, just shut up. So I started getting 7 hours, huge change. I don't need any more than 7. So I see anything more than 7, me being lazy. So I will stick to, I'll stick to that 7 hour sleep. But if I go to sleep at 11, what they did was they did studies. So if I normally go to sleep at 11 o'clock and then one night I go to sleep at 20 past 11, if I've been continuously doing that sleep cycle for say for example like a month, your body enters the fight or flight again. So enters the fight or flight because you've gone to bed past what your mind is normally used to, so it perceives there to be a danger. So then it hits the fight or flight, and then that's why you have the broken sleep because through evolution, fight or flight was like predatorial. It was, effectively like, yo, you're living or you're dying. So you will have that broken sleep because your brain is like very conscious of what it believes there to be a threat. But the threat is technology. Technology is effectively what triggered it because that's normally why people will stay awake. And this is something that I think is very important because, I'm a huge advocate of social media, but people just need to be, conscious about how to use it. And I think the best example of how people should perceive social media to be is if you used to ask your parents to get their photo album down from the loft, they are not going to be bringing down pictures where they're crying. They ain't going to be bringing down pictures like of the horrible parts of their life. They will showcase you the best parts. That is all Instagram is. So I don't think people should throw shade at people for just posting what they want on Instagram. That's okay. It's the mindset of how Instagram's perceived that needs to shift. Yes, it should be a platform that if people can use it for the better to make change, by all means do it. But don't hold bad energy to someone that just puts the best bits on it because it's just a digital photo album, and it's the mindset of how we use it and how we see other people to use it. That's what needs to change.
That's interesting. The way I describe it to the people I work with is it's a highlight reel.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's a highlight reel. So you always have to take things with a pinch of salt. Look, trust me, I've been in a bad headspace before and I've put a picture of me smiling. And I think a lot of people do that. So you always have to take things with a pinch of salt. Exactly. And like you say, it's a tool. So talk about now. So you're a business owner now. You own your own digital marketing agency. You've pretty much traveled the world for the most part. You've kind of set your life up in a way where you can work remotely. You are a fan of the digital.
I could feel that hiccup building.
That's good. That was a good one. It was manly. So going back to you're a fan of the digital nomad life, right? Yeah. So talk to me, what's your day-to-day schedule like? Because obviously, most people watching this will be, they'll wake up 7:30, they'll be on their, because they're currently working remotely, they'll be on their computer in meetings by 8 a.m, probably close it at 6, and then they'll probably go binge Netflix for the rest of the night. That typically tends to be the trends of people that I work with. So go on, tell me about your day-to-day schedule.
So I would wake up at 6, normally whack some water. I mean, the first thing I do is I drink 500 milliliters of water. I try have 1.5 liters of water within my first hour, 90 minutes of being awake. So
any coffee or anything?
I've only recently turned into a coffee drinker. I did not have coffee for years. Whether it's the best decision or not, we're going to find out. But now I do have a morning coffee. But for that initial time, I'll wake up, drink half a litre of water, throw my clothes on, swill some mouthwash. I'll go on a walk for like 30, 40 minutes. I'll rack up 5K steps because as a nomad, typically you're not doing much movement throughout the day. So make sure I hit the 10K steps. I'll come back. I'll have a protein shake. All my food I do eat to a protein, carb, fat. I eat to a macro split. You know, people's dietary requirements, entirely down to them, what they choose. I think it's easier to do that shit anyway. It takes decisions out your day, so I think it's beneficial. And then typically I'm at my laptop working by about 7:30 or 8. Then I will work typically till about 2. And then I will train, and then I'll use the evening to do whatever I want. So if I want to do more work in the evening, I can. But my main block of work is 7:30 till 8. And if you work smart and not hard, you can get so much done in that time. Like people, if they do like a 10-hour day, ain't no one telling me they're doing a 10-hour day and they're working at 100% efficiency. You could literally work, 60% of that time, have more intense work and have free time. And this is why the hustle 24/7 whole motive, bullshit, man, bullshit. You don't need to be hustling. I don't think you need to be hustling all day. You need to be working smart.
I completely
You
agree
need
with
to be working smart, not wasting all them hours, fatiguing your brain, fatiguing your body. Like, work smart.
But it's actually funny that you say that, because I think different cultures depict it in different ways. I think in westernized culture, grinding is kind of like celebrated. Oh, like, well done, you're putting extra hours. But in Germany, it's seen as working inefficiently. Like, they have different mindsets on that hustle kind of culture.
Man, I did not know this.
It's interesting for sure. So do you do any fasting or anything like that?
I tried fasting. I don't know what it was. My body just didn't really adapt to it too well. So, as I say, in the morning, typically my first bit of food's at like 7, and then I'll eat at like 11, and then I'll eat at 4. I only eat 3 meals a day. And that's just fine because I can't actually eat a lot of calories. I just feel uncomfortable. I feel full. I feel bloated. So I don't eat that much. And some people have said to me before, how do you perform off such little calories? And I'm like, it just seems to be what works for my body. On paper, a man of my, what's the word?
Stature.
Yeah, a man of my stature should be on about more than 1,800 calories a day. But typically that's what I eat. And it works for me, so I don't see the
it
point
works for you as
changing
well, and you feel comfortable and you're able to kind of work to your optimum ability. That's probably the most important thing.
And it means if I do go on a little binge, I'm still going to be, I'm not going to be in a surplus. So I'm going to be putting no weight on.
Exactly, that's nice, especially around Christmas.
I've
been munching on so many chocolates this past week. The problem is that it's just not conducive for a good environment. Like, there's just chocolates all around the house. Whatever room, there's like a little box of chocolates or something.
I'm in that point where I'm trying to munch through all of my Christmas food that have been bought because I don't want it to spread out. Like, I want to get back to eat my meals at the right structure, and I don't want the temptation, but at the same time I don't want to be yamming all them down so much that I'm feeling sick.
It's funny.
I'm trying to eat as much as I can each day at the moment to get them all out the way.
I have to say, I love being back and seeing all my family and stuff, but after a heavy Christmas Eve, after a heavy Christmas, after a heavy Boxing Day, after those 3 days, I'm kind of like, right, I need to get back to some normality. I need to start limiting the calories and start getting back to it. But after a while, I just get a bit tired of it. But
it don't make you feel good.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. So we're coming to the end of the year now. So when you're looking at 2021 as the year, obviously you've got some big personal and business goals that you want to hit. How do you tend to try and shoot for those goals? Like, how do you try and define what your goals are? It's like, how would, for someone who wants to try and set 2021 goals, what advice would you give to them?
Set a main goal, have it realistic, and then reverse engineer smaller steps of how you can achieve it. And I think that humans work best of having a work related goal, having a physical goal, and having a creative goal, because you don't want your head all in that one space. So you want to set a goal for business, you want to set a goal for personal, and you want to set a creative goal. And the creative goal is just something that just like you can detach your brain, especially it's people that are more creative and entrepreneurial. Our brains go like 100 miles an hour. Like, my head pings, like anyone knows my head is like pinging all day, every day. The only 2 times that goes away is, one, when I'm in good company, and when I say good company, I'm a good female company. Like, when I'm with my boys, I'll be chilling, everything will be blessed, my head will still ping.
Oh yeah.
But when I'm with someone that I know sort of I have an emotional connection to, and that emotion's there, it can block that part of me off, which for me is really refreshing. Kind of rare to find, but it's really refreshing when it happens.
So actually, I'll ask you that question then. So a lot of people I speak to say that entrepreneurialism and building your own business and grinding and all that kind of stuff, it's a young guy's game or a young female's game, but they say it's a lot easier to do it being single. because they say you've got limited distractions, you can get your head down, you have no other responsibilities or people to work into, and you can kind of be selfish to your own time. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was my exact motive. I split up with my ex, I don't know how long ago, and it's touching upon 5 years. And when that happened, I was like, right, now it's my time to be selfish. You know, I'm just gonna focus on me, and I consciously stayed single for years. And I wasn't the only one that did this. One of my other boys did it as well. And it did have a huge impact. It doesn't mean that you can't do it with a partner. You know, all you want is a partner that loves and supports you. But the way that I perceive relationships is each person should have their own desire and ambition. So each person should be able to do their own thing. Then when you come together, you give each other extra happiness. But I do not believe that should be your sole purpose of happiness. And I remember I said this to my dad, and my dad was like, your mum's my sole purpose, like happiness, which is really cute. But I think that you should have something that brings you happiness, and that relationship is extra happiness. And that is to the extent where it's like, your life does not need to be their life. You do not need to be sharing everything. You do not want to be on top of each other. If I had a girl, she can have her own friends. I don't need to meet them. Like, I don't need to be friends with her. They're her friends. Why does her friends need to be mine? It doesn't mean that you shouldn't get along with them. Yeah. But like, if she's going out with mates, like, you don't need to go with her. Like, let her go out.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree to that point. I hate couples that smother each other, and then like when one guy will just become, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. I'm calling a few people out. No, but those
you're being careful about how you're picking your words.
Yeah. No, but I completely understand. I feel like when two people do get together, there is that worry that they become fully consumed in each other's life. When actual fact, I think you should both be very happy individually, and then like you said, you bring you both that happiness together, and then you're extra happy.
Yeah.
But both of you should have your own individual lives. Like, you should have your own goals, your own ambitions, your own tasks and activities that you like to do away from her. I think that kind of gives you your own space and freedom to not be consumed by it and get drowned in that relationship.
And a health thing you can do, I'm just scratching the surface with this, is if you look into love languages. So if you look into love languages, it can give you a better understanding of how you express love. If you have a partner, you can give you a better insight in regards to how they accept love, and things like that can help strengthen relationships. It's the information's out there for everything these days, bro. Like the world's a crazy place. Like, there's so many books, there's so much knowledge, there's so much information on YouTube. And if you used to look at YouTube for something like to fix a car, if you feel like there's a problem in your relationship, like, use YouTube as well. Like, there's people with knowledge on everything. Like,
and is that how you think you've got to where you are today? Is it all self-taught? Like, because so people say to me, "Oh, Dan, you know social media." And I'm like, well, I don't actually. Like, there's people that know social media and all the actual ins and outs, and then there's someone who knows how to post a picture and put a filter on it. It's two very different levels of actually understanding the backgrounds of how these platforms work. So do you think what you and your level of understanding now is self-taught, or is that something that you've kind of built over years, or do you have a mentor, do you have a coach, or is this all? Yeah,
it's self-taught, but through things like paying for, online programs, mentorships. You should always be investing in yourself at the end of the day. I know people that have done I can feel another hiccup coming. It's going to come out of nowhere. I know people that have done. Okay, no, it was just a little bit. I know people that have done mentorships that have cost 5 figures, and people are like, "What? How are you paying like 10 grand plus for a mentorship off some guy that you've probably found on Instagram? Like, looked at his content. How are you going to trust that Donny?" It's like, you're going uni, you're paying how much? How many of you that are going uni are actually using that degree for one? You ain't got no guarantee on your uni degree. Half of these mentorships you can have a guarantee on. They'll be like, "Look, I will teach you this. If you don't not achieve this in this time, I will give you your money back, because I know that my systems are in place," and they'll do it. And people that I know that have done mentorships they've paid like more than me for certain things they've gone down, they've always made that money back, typically within 1 or 2 months.
That's brilliant. And I'm a massive believer that if you can surround yourself with a mentor, coaches, or that kind of people who have been there and done what you want to do, well, then why would you not go and learn off them? If anything, you're speeding up your own process. You're kind of speeding up your own timeline of achieving what you want to achieve.
Pay for the knowledge. The knowledge is out there. The steps are out there. People ain't going to give it away for free, unfortunately.
No, that's why they're experienced, because they've built their own thing so they can sell that.
It's just about doing a bit of due diligence in regards to who you go to, because there's a lot of fake ass gurus out there that are just selling smack.
And that's what I was about to say. Then how would you how do you do your due diligence? How do you know if someone's legit or not legit? Is it just...
You can quite often find someone that might have done the course or gone through the training, just send them a message.
Got ya.
Just be like, how legit is it? Is it good? Is it not?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of the time they might have like a free training or a free group that you go into and you can speak to people in there. Because if people have done that and then have done the course, then they're in the VIP or the premium course, but they're normally typically in the free group as well. So you can just message people and just go on YouTube, type in blah, 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 online training review or blah, 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 mental shit review. Shit's going to be out there. If someone's trying to pull wool over your eyes,
you'll quickly
the
find out.
information's going to be out there.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, last question I'll ask you, because I know we've probably got to wrap up time soon. For someone who wants to live the digital nomad life, they want the ability to own their own business, they want to work from the laptop, they want to work from Spain, work from Bali, work from Gibraltar, wherever they are, as you have built for yourself. What advice do you give to someone who wants to build that? Because if there's ever a time where it's completely accessible and possible to do that, today is that time. Like, there's no time like the present.
Just take action. Everything is about taking action. As I say, it's a yes or a no. Do you want to do it? Yeah, make it happen. Take that action. Book that flight. Get out there. I always say you've got to do an equation on your worst case scenario. So my worst case scenario is all of my business goes under. I lose all my money, but I've got a house I've got a family house that I can live in with people that love me. That is not a bad scenario. Like, why would I not take outrageous risks?
I love it.
And everyone's equation is going to be different. And that's why the decision has to be based on that person's situation. But do that equation. If your worst case scenario ain't that bad, you should be taking risks left, right, and center. It's actually incredibly selfish not to take those risks during an opportunity that other people would die for. So it is a matter of taking action. But the one thing that I realized and I learned whilst I started traveling was self-sabotage can like come into place, and it's almost like it's something that I've wanted to do so much, and when I was out there it was like part of my ego was almost trying to hit this self-destruct mode, because it can be a scary reality. It's like, okay, like it's within my fingertips, and when things are within your fingertips, that is when you'll make or break it. That is when you'll make or break, and that's when discipline, routine, etc. that needs to come in on a shit hot level. That needs to come in like hotter than ever. My first little nomadic getaway, I was working in Valencia with two other entrepreneurs. Big ups both of you if you're watching this. And that taught me a lot. Like, we had a shared apartment. The place was terrible.
Really?
Honestly, it was disgusting. I mean, big ups, my Airbnb review still got... Actually, no, I didn't get a review. That was probably best. Like, the guy did not leave a review. That place went horrific.
Really?
And what it was we all had our individual routines, but the space wasn't big enough for us all to have our own like headspace. But it taught me that I have to be very, very disciplined. When you go in a situation like that, your discipline, that is going to be a key to make it or break it. And I remember 40 hours before I come back, I was beating myself up a little bit because I hadn't achieved what I wanted to achieve. I didn't feel good with the discipline that I'd kept in regards to certain areas of it. And that's good. Like, I had to let myself go through those emotions because I was learning from it, and I didn't do things to the best of my ability. So I needed to analyze my behaviors, effectively give myself a little bit of a stern telling off and be like, right, if you want this to happen, your dreams will not happen if you do this again.
I was going to say, because it's one of those things that when you're in the sun, you're near the sea, you're near the pool, you can be like, oh,
the head was on low key, like holiday mode, because I've not been in that situation. But I was like, if you want this, you cannot let this happen again. Like, you can't, because you will spiral. And then I thought about it to myself, and I was like, why did I think that I was going to go away on my first nomadic work trip and have it mastered? You know, if I was to start a new sport, say, for example, badminton, I would not expect to have my first badminton match and be killer at it. So why did I think I'd go away and have everything in place and that it wasn't going to be like part of the learning curve? That was obviously part of my path. That was part of my path in the universe, to go on that, have them fuck ups, and then learn from it so that I can... Because I was originally meant to be going to Cambodia and Vietnam for 2 months. That didn't go down. If I'd gone to Cambodia and Vietnam for 2 months and I'd applied some of the behaviors that I had then, I would have been fucked. Really? So that was part of the process. I was meant to not go to Cambodia, Vietnam. I was meant to go to Valencia. I was meant to learn that lesson. And when I went away this time, I had massive improvements on it. Massive improvements.
Do you just try and keep the same day-to-day timeline that you currently do? So say, for example, you're up on your laptop by 7:30 in the morning normally. Do you try and keep the same full routine? So by 2 o'clock, which is 3 o'clock in Spain, you're like, right, I'm good for the day now.
Yeah, so when I was in Marbella, I was I had one of my boys stopping me, big ups Marcus. And this was the first time I'd met this guy as well. So he's someone that I'd met on Instagram. He stayed with me and we'd wake up, the alarm would go off, we'd get the coffee, sit at the table, we'd start hashing it out. It slipped a little bit in Gibraltar. The morning routine slipped a little bit, but I was in company, so that I think I need to analyze that situation itself. But yeah, the routine sort of like slipped a little. Not the routine, just the morning section, the discipline in the morning slipped a little bit. So I have to analyze how I want it. You know, how ideally I'd want that situation to be in the mornings if there was someone else there.
Got ya.
Because you know Marcus weren't in my bed.
Yeah, I know, man. You really told me the story. You really told me the story. Like, last question: are you happy?
Yeah, bro, I'm happy, and that is truth. When I send my boys a message and I'm like, "You okay?" That is not a passive question. I want to know what's going on with them. I'm so happy with the person that I am today. I have every single thing that's ever happened to me to be grateful for. Everything that's good that's happened, everything that's bad that's happened. I have it all to thank, and I know that I'm on a journey for greatness. Do I have down days? Yes. And it is okay if you feel down. It is okay. I have monthly crashes when my body just completely KOs and I just allow my body to go through it. If I have down days, I'm aware that is a temporary feeling and I'm going to come out of it. So I just allow myself to experience that sadness. And I think it's very, very important because every emotion that we feel, anger, lust, happiness, jealousy, they're all human emotions. So as soon as you suppress one of those emotions, you're acting in a way that is inhumane and that will not be good for your soul.
Love it. James Ross, thank you so much, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro. It's been a pleasure.
No,
I was looking forward to this podcast, I ain't gonna lie.
It's been coming for a while, man. Honestly, it's been coming for a while. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Dan Bennett Podcast, episode 6. Hopefully see you soon.
Don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment.
Do that. Cheers, guys.
Peace out.